Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. We've got a small MLB slate on today, only 3 games. So instead of going with some straight bets, I decided let's have a little fun today. The last day of July, tomorrow, August 1st, Freaky Friday, start of our ladder challenge. We're in a little bit of a parlay mood right now. So let's do a 4-leg parlay for today's 3-game slate. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We have a ton of great content here at Guy Boston Sports between myself, my MLB Player Props. We're going to have college football coming up, NFL coming up very, very soon in this upcoming month of August. We got Trey with his WNBA picks, and of course, you've got Ev with his MLB picks, as well as his NFL picks coming up in August as well. H2H Season 3 with myself and Ev returning. A lot of great stuff. You don't want to miss out on any of it, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. All right, very quickly before we dive into today's 4-leg parlay, a quick little recap of how we did yesterday. And jumping on over to GuyBostonSports.com, you'll see Mr. 500 strikes again. Another 500 performance, 1-1. We are now 5-5 this week in single bets / straight bets. So again, it's not terrible, but it's just not good either. 1-1. Addison Barger, which was the biggest sweat of all time, he did cash the over, but he had no hits. He had no RBIs, but he did score twice. He had 2 runs, so he did cash the over. That one was a big-time sweat. And Yoshida, who I talked a lot of trash on yesterday, and I had a feeling when I hit that end button on the recording screen, I had a bad feeling. I said I talked a lot of trash on this guy. It feels like he's going to sting me, and he stung me in the worst way. He had a crazy good game yesterday. He had a home run, 3 RBIs. Really phenomenal game, multi-hit game for Yoshida. The line was 1.5. He finished with 6 hits, runs, RBIs. It's my luck, I guess. Damn you, Yoshida. And then Jock Peterson didn't end up playing last night. He got scratched from the lineup, which good for the Rangers, honestly. It makes a lot of sense. So that was our slate yesterday again. Mr. 500 strikes again. Hopefully we can send Mr. 500 away and lock him in the basement while we go ahead and cash this 4-leg parlay. Enough talking, guys. Let's dive right into today's 4-leg MLB Player Prop parlay. All right, guys, kicking things off, our first leg of our 4-leg parlay, and that's we're using DraftKings for today's parlay. So we're using DraftKings for the parlay. First leg of our 4-leg parlay, we have Rays, Yankees, 1:05 p.m. first pitch. We got Jonathan Aranda of the Tampa Bay Rays over half a hit. We'll go ahead and jump over to the outlier screen here, guys. And look, these are alternate lines. Some of these are going to have some pretty high juice. Some of them not so much. This one in particular, it's minus 250 over on DraftKings. So a lot of juice on this player prop. But even though it's juiced, still got some value here. So Jonathan Aranda, he's cashed this over. Again, all he needs is 1 hit to cash his leg. He's cashed the over in 7 of his last 10 games. You do see some multi-hit games in there as well. Averaging 1 hit per game over the last 10. You go ahead and stretch the data out to the last 20. It's still pretty solid, 70% hit rate, averaging 1.15 hits per game over the last 20 games. Again, you see a good, healthy mix of multi-hit games in there for Jonathan Aranda. And then if you look at the entire 2025 season, it's honestly phenomenal. Again, with an alternate line of minus 250, you would hope it's going to be phenomenal. But a 68% hit rate on the season, 1.1 average hits per game this year. So really good numbers across the board for Jonathan Aranda. But it doesn't stop there, because if you go on over to the head-to-head data, and again, a pretty decent sample size, the Rays and Yankees obviously being AL East division rivals, they see each other pretty consistently. The head-to-head data is pretty strong. And actually, all 9 matchups listed here against the Yankees come from this season. So it's all very relevant data here. So if 7 of the 9 matchups this season against the New York Yankees, he's cashed the over. It's a 78% hit rate, averaging 1.22 hits per game across those 9 matchups with New York. Now, this is obviously the 4th straight matchup between the Rays and the Yankees, the conclusion of this 4-game series. He's had a very successful series against the Yankees so far. 2 hits on July 28th, 2 hits on July 29th, and 1 hit yesterday on July 30th. And honestly, 3 of the last 4 matchups against the Yankees, he's had multi-hit games, including a massive 3-hit performance back on May 4th against New York. So like I said, guys, a lot of good data there. We also have the insights provided by Outlier. By the way, guys, shout out to Outlier, the sponsor of today's video and all my MLB Player Prop videos here on the channel. We do offer a special link down below in the description that gives you guys a 7-day free trial to go ahead and check it out for yourself. Everything you're going to see, mostly everything. We're going to use the Guy Boston Sports dashboard a little bit as well, but most of the things you're going to see in this video are brought to you by Outlier. It's really a great, fantastic sports betting tool. If you watch my videos before, you see the kind of numbers, the kind of data that Outlier can provide. If you're new here, welcome, and stick around and watch the video because I'm going to be showing you guys a lot of stuff from Outlier. This page right here is Outlier. And I'm only giving you guys a little taste. There's so much more that Outlier provides. I can't possibly show you everything in a single video. So the best way to check it out is to check it out for yourself. Again, one more time, link down below in the description, 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. Special thank you to Outlier for sponsoring today's video and all of my player prop videos here on the channel. But yeah, the insight provided by Outlier, Jonathan Aranda has exceeded half a hit in 11 of his last 14 games on the road, averaging 1.4 hits per game across the last 14 road games. So really good numbers there. That obviously includes the last 3 games on the road against the New York Yankees. So again, phenomenal numbers across the board here for Jonathan Aranda. If you look down below the key matchup stats, it just honestly gets better. He's having a fantastic season for the Rays. He's been one of their, if not their best hitter. And versus right-handed pitchers, the numbers all consistently increase. Not by a lot, but they all are increases, batting average, BA, BIP, hard hitting percentage, WRC+. They all increase when facing off with right-handed pitchers like Marcus Stroman. And obviously a really good matchup with Stroman, who's not having the best of years, and versus left-handed batters like Jonathan Aranda, it gets even worse. A 7.52 ERA, 298 batting average allowed, really poor numbers. And look down below at the pitch arsenal. Jonathan Aranda's hitting versus Marcus Stroman's pitch arsenal. Now, overall, Aranda has a 378 WOBA. Now, some of these you're going to see decreases, right? Marcus Stroman, his number one pitch, the sinker, 36.7% of his pitches, right? 337 WOBA. Now, that is a decrease, but 337 is not a bad WOBA, so it's not bad. Yes, it's a decrease, but it's still a pretty solid number. His second most utilized pitch, the slider, 27.1% of his pitches. You see Jonathan Aranda, his WOBA actually increases to 403. You go to the third pitch, the cutter, 373. Again, still a decrease from his overall numbers, but still a pretty solid average there. And even versus the splitter, the farther you go down, 324 again. Everything's still over 300. That's what we like to see here. Even though he's definitely a little bit less efficient versus some of these pitches, he's still efficient enough where I think it's a pretty solid bet here. So for minus 250, obviously the data speaks for itself. Really solid first leg of our 4-leg parlay. All right, guys, the next 2 legs of this parlay are going to come from the same game. This Braves-Reds game, 7:10 p.m. first pitch. Our second leg of our parlay and our first of 2 player props from this game. We've got Andrew Abbott of the Cincinnati Reds over 4.5 strikeouts. Now, we're grabbing this for minus 155 on DraftKings. So it is technically, in my opinion, an alternate line. I always tell you guys, for me, straight bets, I typically cut them off at minus 150. Anything over minus 150, you're now in alternate line territory. However, if you watch, especially some of my more previous videos, minus 155, minus 160, I'm still willing to bet as straight bets because it's pretty close. So minus 155, yes, I technically consider it to be an alternate line, but it really isn't that juiced. Minus 155, the value is certainly there. And for a minus 155 player prop, the data is very strong here. 7 of his last 10 games, including 3 consecutive starts, Andrew Abbott has cashed this over. He's averaging 5 strikeouts per game over his last 10 games. So basically, all we need him to do is reach his average, and we'll be good to go here. Overall in 2025, a 67% hit rate on this over, 12 out of 18 starts. He's cashed the over, averaging 5.28 strikeouts per game this year. And I apologize, I'll jump over to the Outlier screen so you guys can go ahead and see this stuff. So again, 12 out of 18 starts this year, he's cashed the over, averaging 5.28 strikeouts per game. There's the last 10 data. Apologies again, I thought I had switched the camera over. My bad, guys. But again, 70% hit rate last 10 games, 67% hit rate overall this year. And even look at the head-to-head data. He has played the Braves once this year, back on May 6th, a few months ago, and he had a very strong performance with 8 strikeouts in that game. So good numbers across the board here for Andrew Abbott. We also have the insight provided by Outlier. Andrew Abbott has exceeded 4.5 strikeouts in 4 of his last 5 games at home, averaging 5.4 strikeouts per game across the last 5 home games. Now, if you go ahead and jump over the dashboard over on GuyBostonSports.com, you can see Andrew Abbott this year, pretty good numbers, especially strikeout rate, 22% strikeout rate overall. Decreases a little bit at home, 21%, but overall, he's over 21% in all the key categories there in terms of strikeout percentage. So, some pretty good numbers. And looking at the Braves over the last 30 days here, you'll see their strikeout rate, in general, they haven't been a great offense versus left-handed pitchers or in general over the last month. Look at their strikeout rate, 25% strikeout rate overall. That's regardless of left-handed pitcher or right-handed pitcher, 25% strikeout rate. That is bottom 4 in Major League Baseball over the last month. And when you narrow it down to just left-handed pitchers, it's still in the bottom 10 at 25.1%. So it seems to be a pretty good matchup here. Now, you do see a lot of green on this side. I always tell you guys, I don't like to use that data point too much. It's versus left-handed pitchers on the road. It's going to be a very small sample size. That might only be 1 or 2 games that you're using for data points. So take that with a grain of salt. Yes, it's worth looking at, but how useful is it? That's to be determined. But I do think it's a pretty good matchup here. Again, Andrew Abbott, he had 8 strikeouts the last time he played them. He only needs 5. So even if he doesn't do as strong as he did last time he played the Braves, we should be good to go. And honestly, the Braves, they've been struggling lately, especially offensively. So I don't see why Andrew Abbott shouldn't go ahead and cash this over. That's the second leg of our 4-leg parlay. All right, guys, our third leg of our 4-leg parlay. Now, this one is definitely juiced here. We got Elly De La Cruz over half a hit. So he just needs to get one singular hit of any variety. It could be a single, double, home run, triple, whatever you want. That's all you need. Now, this is the most juiced line of the parlay. It's minus 295. I thought about not including it in the parlay, but I said, you know what? It increases the odds a little bit. I like it a lot. I think it's going to cash in this game. So I'll go ahead and throw it in here. And the data for minus 295, it better be solid. 7 of his last 10 games, including 4 of his last 5, he's cashed the over. He's averaging 1.1 hits per game over his last 10 games. And we do go ahead and look right to the 2025 season numbers. 71% hit rate on the year for Elly De La Cruz, averaging 1.07 hits per game this year. So you see phenomenal data across the board here for Elly De La Cruz. And again, I forgot to switch the camera over. I apologize, guys. That is my bad. But again, there you see there a lot of green, a lot of good positive data there for Elly De La Cruz this year. Way more green than you see any sort of red. And even look at the head-to-head data, and again, these teams do see each other quite often. So you have a pretty good sample size here. 7 of his last 10 matchups against the Atlanta Braves dating back to last season, he's cashed the over, averaging 1.3 hits per game across the last 10 matchups with the Braves. Now, he's played them 4 times so far this year. He's cashed the over in 2 of those 4 games, a 50% hit rate in 2025. Could be better, but again, really not that bad. We also have the insights provided by Outlier, which actually that's not really applying to us. He's failed to exceed 1.5 hits. So he hasn't had a lot of multi-hit games of late, but that's not really relevant to us here. We just need one singular hit. And unfortunately, Outlier doesn't really give us any pitching data, but we do know that he's facing off with Carlos Carrasco, who has not been the best this year for the Braves. And you see versus left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters, he's bad in both categories. He's a little bit worse off versus right-handed hitters. Gratefully for us, Elly De La Cruz is a switch hitter, which obviously is very good. So he could bat lefty or righty. Either way, he's got a pretty good matchup, although you can see here, if we zoom in, versus right-handed hitters, Carlos Carrasco, 320 batting average allowed, really high numbers there. So it might benefit Elly De La Cruz to bat righty in this game, but honestly, whatever way he hits, he's got a pretty good matchup either way. And he's batting 282 overall this year versus right-handed pitchers. If you look at Elly De La Cruz here down below over the last 30 days, though, versus right-handed pitchers, 316 batting average with a 924 OPS. So really phenomenal data here for Elly De La Cruz. He just needs one singular hit and he cashes the over. I think he should do that. Even if you pull Carlos Carrasco, I think he should be able to get a hit off of the Braves bullpen at the very least. So I like this as the third player prop in today's 4-leg parlay. We just hit the 14-minute mark in today's video, guys. So if you are still watching at this point, please comment 14 down below. As always, I appreciate those who watch through each and every single video here on the channel. It really does mean a ton to us, myself, Evan, Trey included, when you guys stick around and watch all the way through. Put a lot of hard work into what we do here. So comment 14 down below if you are still watching at this point. Let's wrap up here with our 4th and final leg of our 4-leg parlay. All right, guys, our 4th and final leg of today's parlay, and I promise I will not forget to switch the camera over to the Outlier screen this time. We have Rangers, Mariners, 9:40 p.m. first pitch. We got Josh Naylor of the Seattle Mariners over half a hit. Again, alternate line here. We're going to get from minus 220 over on DraftKings. All right, switching over to the outlier screen. Again, I'm not forgetting this time. From an overall perspective, you're going to see the data is looking pretty solid for Josh Naylor overall. We'll get to the negative kind of towards the end of this player prop. But 8 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 1 hit per game over his last 10 games. He has failed to register a hit in each of his last 2 games versus the Athletics. But again, for the most part, pretty good numbers. Looking at the last 20 game data here for Josh Naylor, 70% hit rate over his last 20 games, averaging 0.8 hits per game across those last 20. And then if you go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire 2025 season, a 76% hit rate on the over this year. He's averaging 1.08 hits per game this season. So pretty good numbers across the board here for Josh Naylor. Now in the head-to-head category, it's not looking as strong. To be fair though, all of these games came from last year. So 2 of his last 6 matchups with the Rangers, he's cashed the over, averaging 0.33 hits per game across those last 6 matchups. But again, all 6 of those matchups come from last year. So a little bit outdated, not totally relevant to this year, but it is, I think, worth noting at least that he didn't have the best of times against the Rangers last season when he was in Cleveland. Now, we also have the insight provided by Outlier. Josh Naylor has exceeded half a hit in 12 of his last 15 games, averaging 0.93 hits per game over the last 15. That is, of course, an 80% hit rate over the last 15 games. So just 3 of his last 15 has he failed to register a hit. Pretty phenomenal data across the board. He actually had cashed this in 12 of 13 going into those last 2 matchups with the Athletics. So he's been on a pretty decent run. Yes, the last couple games versus the A's have kind of stalled that a little bit, but he's been on a phenomenal enough run that I don't think 2 rough games with no hits is going to completely derail him. Now, if you look down below at the key matchup stats, the data looks phenomenal at first glance. Josh Naylor having a very strong year, and versus right-handed pitchers, the numbers all increased, right? Batting average, BABIP, hard hitting percentage, WRC+. Some categories you see bigger increases than others, but the moral of the story being that he's pretty much better in all categories versus right-handed pitchers, whether it be by a little bit or a lot. He's definitely better hitting against right-handed pitchers this year than left-handed pitchers. And he's got a very solid matchup here versus Kumar Rocker, the Rangers pitcher, who is not having the best of seasons in his own way, and he's even worse versus left-handed batters like Josh Naylor. The batting average, BABIP, ERA, FIP, they all increase. So across the board, it looks to be a very solid matchup. And then the cherry on top of this, honestly, is Josh Naylor's success versus Kumar Rocker's pitch arsenal. You see overall Josh Naylor, 345 WOBA on the year. I look at Kumar Rocker. Okay, number 1 pitch he utilizes is this sinker, 27.9%. All right, you see the WOBA increases for Josh Naylor to 379. That's good. The second most utilized pitch, 24.3%. The cutter, it increases to 426 WOBA. The fastball, his third most utilized pitch, 18.7%. 376 WOBA. The first bad pitch that he struggles against is the slider, which is his 4th most utilized pitch. And 286 WOBA, definitely a decrease, but it's not good, but it's not terrible. And you go on to his 5th most utilized pitch, the curveball, it goes back to 372. So 4 of his top 5 pitches, Josh Naylor has been fantastic against. The only one he struggles against the slider, which only makes up about 17% of his pitch arsenal. So everything looks to be pretty solid here. So I kind of foreshadowed the one negative with this player prop, and we'll go ahead and talk about that real quick. It's the fact that Josh Naylor over the last month versus right-handed pitchers has struggled mightily. 152 batting average versus right-handed pitchers over the last 30 days with a 515 OPS. That's where the struggle comes in. You even look at his runs above average versus pitch type, you can definitely see some struggles there for Josh Naylor. Only the fastball really has he had a lot of success against. So I'm not going to lie, that's pretty concerning. And it's definitely worth noting because he's really struggled. The reason why I'm going to keep riding with this and throw this in the parlay, despite the fact that I know that he struggled over the last month, is because everything points to this being a phenomenal matchup where Josh Naylor can get a hit. And it's not like he's playing poorly, right? Yes, he struggled versus right-handed pitchers, but Kumar Rocker has been playing not that great this year, okay? And we already saw what the data showed, right? Kumar Rocker versus left-handed batters, everything, the pitch arsenal type, the matchup, the Rangers bullpen also. Josh Naylor should be able to get the hit off of them in the event that he can't get a hit off of Kumar Rocker. I know the last 30-game data isn't good, but I'm willing to take my chances here because everything else points to this being a phenomenal player prop for Josh Naylor. So risk involved, absolutely, but I'm going to go ahead and take the risk here and take Josh Naylor as the fourth and final leg of today's parlay. All right, guys, those are all 4 legs of today's parlay. Quick little run through here. We have Josh Naylor over half a hit, Jonathan Aranda over half a hit, Andrew Abbott over 4.5 strikeouts, and Ellie De La Cruz over half a hit. When you parlay all 4 together over on DraftKings, let's go ahead and see what the live odds are right now. It is currently plus 322 over on DraftKings when you parlay all 4 together. So pretty phenomenal value there, plus 322 odds for a 4-leg parlay. By the way, guys, this is the easiest way to go ahead and tail if you want to go ahead and ride with the parlay. The link will be down below in the description. It says link for today's picks in the description. You click that link, it takes you right to this page right here, and all you have to do is click add to bet slip, and it takes you right to the sports book and plugs it all in for you. You can also go ahead and see what different player props are available on what different sports books, and this is true for every video. I do this for every single video, regardless if it's a parlay or a straight bet. So if you ever want to tail and you can't find them in your sports book, click the link in the description that says link for today's picks. It'll take you to this page, and you can go ahead and just click add to bet slip, and it'll throw it right in the sports books for you. Very easy, very simple. As you can see, FanDuel, all 4 are available. DraftKings, all 4 available. Hard Rock Bet, all 4. Prize Picks, all 4. Sleeper, all 4. So on and so forth. But yeah, this is the best way to go ahead and tail. And this is also brought to you guys by Outlier. All right, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. We'll be back tomorrow with another MLB Player Prop video. We have our Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay coming your way tomorrow. Until then, guys, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy your Thursday. Let's go ahead and make some money.